We're showing live there. All right, I think we're live on StreamYard. Are we live on Facebook and YouTube? Hey everyone, if you are joining us, we're just getting started here, just making sure the stream is going. Okay, I think we're live here on YouTube. Yep. Hey everybody. So we're just getting set up here. And then we're gonna do a little bit of overview of UDB and Beam and Geo and kind of introduce you all to some of the new stuff. So we're just double checking here.
Yes, Claire B_9. We are real people and not just an app.
Yes, we are real people. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? We're on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, we're shooting this landscape, so it shows up portrait on Instagram, but
We're here.
But we are here, and we'll lean into the center of the frame and say hi to you, and we'll also, bring stuff in. So anyway, hey, my name is Luke. I'm one of the co-founders of UDB and Beam and Geo and Stride TV, and I'm here with my brother Josh.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. It's a beautiful Thursday. It's a warm Thursday here in Austin, Texas, and we're really excited to have you guys with us.
Yeah, for sure. So Josh and I were actually just talking the other day, and we realized it's been years since we've come on and just like done a live. We actually used to do this quite a bit. Like Josh and I actually used to live together when we were first in Austin, and we would like just go live at the kitchen table and talk about UDB and all that kind of stuff. And we just realized like we haven't done this in a while, and since we've got all these brand new apps and we've been working really hard and we've got an incredible team, we just thought, hey, why not do it? So we're actually in my home office right now. I hope you like the background. We just thought this might be fun. And if you actually look way up here, let's see if I can get my finger right. That's a picture of us in marching band up there. You see a little bass drum. So anyway, we're just excited to be here, and we wanted to kind of walk you through the new UDB app and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so the first thing is we are going to like share our screen, and you'll see our phones and stuff like that. But I just wanted to talk about like the new UDB and actually why we made a brand new app. So we actually started UDB app in 2013. And we decided that like, hey, we think apps are the future, so let's go make it. And so we started building it. And our first real version got out in 2016. And it was really cool. And then in 2017, it like really started to blow up. And lots of people started to use it. And over these last couple of years, it's been incredible because like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have reached out to us, and they've had like a million requests on like, hey, I want this feature, I want this feature, I want this feature, I want this feature. And like we are band kids. We grew up in marching band. Our dad was our band director, mom's a musician. And so we realized that like, hey, we want to be able to give everyone all these things that they want. So we actually realized that like we couldn't use an app that we started in 2013 to make all of these modern features and things like that. So that's actually why we restarted the UDB app a couple years ago. We've been working on this in the background, so we could actually facilitate like all of those requests and stuff like that. And there's a lot of features. So just want to like give a little precursor to that, and then like as we go through some of the new UDB stuff, we'll kind of walk you through the how and the why and all that and all this kind of thing. We know this is a new app. We know many of you have been using UDB for several years, and you might open it up and you're like, whoa, this is new. Look, as tech dudes, we feel the same way. Like when we open a software we've been using for a while, and that's why we wanted to come on here and just kind of like share with you all, you know, how much we care about this, and how much our team around the world has poured into this and thought about every single little detail and things like that. And there's still lots more to come. There's still less to do, but we just wanted to kind of show you the journey a little bit of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that we're really excited to represent in these like latest versions are, like Luke said, are things that people from around the world for the past, 5, 10, 15 years they've been asking us for. And um we're just as excited about the future and what that looks like. And so for those of you who are already using the new version and say, man, it'd be great if it could do this, let us know, right? That's what we're excited about. We've got an incredible team full of music educators and people who are super passionate about helping you guys. So let us know your thoughts. Tell us the big things. Tell us the small things. What do you like? What don't you like? Break it. We'll fix it. And there's already a giant pile of updates that are about to be released here that address small little things that people have found, or hey, let's see if we can tweak this to make this even faster or better for our users. So this is an exciting time for us just to reach out and to like be connected with you guys about all of these things that have been a huge part of the history.
yeah, and nothing is too small too. Like if you're running into little bugs or little things like that, I mean, those things happen. We chase them all the time. And so like please like let us know. Like we're not we want to know those things because the coolest part about this is that there are people all over the world using literally thousands of different devices, all made from like this year down to like 15 years ago. I mean, we test like crazy, but there's just things that happen. So please like let us know. Maybe it's even in the comments or just shoot us an email. So we want to get all that dialed in. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and just let's take a look here. I've got the new home screen of UDB, and so this looks like a little bit different. And of course, it's got like a more modern interface, but you've got all your drill here. But one of the things that we introduced was this drill library. So if you are a staff member or like a director, one of the things we've heard a million times over is like, I want drill to be uploaded, but I don't want my band to see it yet. I want to look at it first before it is shared with everyone else. We get the same thing from drum corps. So this is how we did this. So we created a drill library. So when drill's uploaded, it actually goes into the library. So when I'm gonna click plus button, I can click this assign from drill library, and these are all of the drill files that are uploaded into my account, but only the ones with check marks are sent out to the ensemble. So if you want to upload something for the rest of the ensemble to see, that's how you do it right here. You just click that check button, and then it shows up in the app for everybody. So if it's here on the home screen, the ensemble can see it. If it's not, no one else can see it. Now, like in the new like ARC architecture, we also give you multiple groups. So for example, like I'm in the ARC marching band right now, but I can go over to the staff and I could have a group that's just for staff members. So this is like a great way to like release drill to the staff before it's like released to the rest of the band. Just create a little staff group inside of UDB or Beam or Geo or anything like that. And then you can just click this plus button, assign from drill library. You can choose whatever song you want to assign, and then it just adds it into that drill library. And this is just for the staff to see. So you put just your staff members in there. They're the only ones that are going to see that drill.
Yeah, and so think about some of the new features actually that we even released last year, like listening zones, right? If you wanted to take like your staff, get organized before you teach the drill and apply listening zones before it gets pushed out to the band, this is a great way for you to like practice that, or suss that out as a staff before it gets pushed out to the band. The same thing with our new notes, which we'll talk about here in a couple minutes. And even if you're a group, a school that only has one ensemble, right? Think about how you can use this organization to your advantage, right? You might have, here's the pregame drill file, and you only need that when you're learning pregame at the very beginning of the year, and you don't need it to be there when you're learning parts 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use that library as a way to sort of show and hide the things that are, really pertinent to you and the students. So we know it's new, but we also know that you're going to take this thing and run with it. So we're really excited about this new organization system.
Yeah.
One thing.
Sorry,
Oh yeah.
someone commented, I'm on a water break right now.
All right.
Hi.
Gush and go, baby.
Gush and go. Okay. Let's get into the drill.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, if you've uploaded drill from Pyware and you don't see it here, all you have to do is click that plus button and assign that from the drill library. Because when you upload it from Pyware, it goes to the library and then you can push out of any group. So
And
at
it's
first,
worth saying that you only have to do that the first time, because once you update it, it stays in that
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
that group, right? So you don't have to do that each time, just that initial time.
Yeah, you'll hear us say this a lot tonight. The idea is to give you all more control over everything. In the last version of the UDB app, it was kind of like this is the way that it works, and that's the only way that it works. Everyone works a little differently, so we're trying to make sure that you all can, have the way that works for you. So I'm going to jump into a drill file right here. Um, and yeah, so we've got a brand new interface here. And just want to like kind of talk through it for a second. So obviously it looks a little different, and the first thing you might notice are the controls. And we talked a lot about these controls. One of the things that like when we introduced a slider several years ago, people really loved the slider because it allowed you to kind of scrub through the drill. But one of the limitations of the slider is you could only do one drill set at a time. So when we brought in the wheel, you can just go continuous and you can go backwards, you can go forwards, and you go all the way through that drill. And then even if you're in like count mode, you can actually scrub continuously through this. So this is like one of the limitations of the previous UDB that we wanted to like address like right away, which was how can you like navigate through the drill faster? And that's where we kind of came up with this control wheel here. And it's the same thing with the interface as a whole. So like you'll notice obviously there's more controls on the side of the screen, but there's two things. One, like when the on the previous UDB, when like this field was zoomed in all the way, like just like this on the previous UDB, you'd have all of this negative space on either sides of the field. And we said, well, hey, we've got all these people asking us for all these features. They want all these things closer to them. Why don't we actually use that negative space? Because that negative space is going to be there whether we like it or not because of the orientation of the field. So actually, why don't we try to find a better way to use it? So we created the widgets here, and these like are just like little small experiences, widget like you normally find on your phone. And this allows you to like, for example, here's a custom view widget. The previous UDB, you'd have to like click the UDB icon and then click a custom view. I can actually just bounce through my custom views with one tap. So it's like literally twice as fast to get through these custom views. If I'm on that custom view widget, I can just swipe up and I can turn on the Met just like that. And then we also built in these kind of like micro settings. So if I tap on that metronome, I get all my metronome settings right here. So instead of like taking up the whole screen and like taking you out of the drill, because we're able to use this space more effectively, we've got like a lot more options like that are very quick to get to. So, may not like you may not understand like right away, but generally you can just tap on any widget and it gets you into some more settings. So if I go to that custom view widget and I tap at the top, I can see all my custom views. I can go back. That way, like I'm not getting out of the drill or anything like that. I'm all right there.
Yeah, and something that was actually a feature and sort of a thing that we had built in from the very beginning on the previous version of the app was we wanted you to be able to use this comfortably with one hand. Right. So you'll notice even in Luke's demo, he's everything can be done just from that right side of the screen. And that's really important to us too, that you can still hold it here. You can use the scroll wheel, right? You can access those widgets. You can access all of those settings still with one hand rather than, like you said, it taking over the screen. So, these are things that we as band kids, right? And, we as teachers have really considered that we're excited to see how you guys sort of take this and run with it, especially with the widgets, because those we're just going to continue to expand on.
Yeah, exactly. So you can even see like focus mode right here. So instead of like going into the settings and then finding focus mode and then turning it on and then clicking back and then back and then back, you can literally just go to the widget, you can flick it on and you're all set to go. Or if you want to, tweak something like you can go into excuse me, any one of these widgets and you can do that. So like we even have our live attendance. We're going to talk about Geo. So like you can actually see your full live attendance record right here. That's cool. Up here is like the information bar. So like I'm in as a director, and on the previous version of UDB, like when you would tap on a student, it would like kind of change the entire interface just to like try to get you their information, like their coordinate, and you would lose certain information like the page information, the counts, all that kind of stuff. So when you tap on a performer now, it actually just expands that info bar. And that way you can see the page, you can still see the counts, you can still see the measure, the title, and then you can see all of the performer info. And so that way, like the interface isn't changing dramatically. It's just expanding when you need it to expand, and then it goes away when you don't need it to go away. And you also notice like when you tap in, it brings up the tap ID widget as well. So you actually don't need to have a tap ID widget in that rotation unless you're tapping on somebody. So it's kind of cool because the widget only appears when you need it to appear. So this area right here is super flexible. And like Josh said, like um, we literally have dozens, if not hundreds of widgets that we want to bring to the phone and to the tablet and all that kind of stuff. And so we're laying the foundation here for it. And so once again, we know you get in, you might be like, whoa, this is a lot of new. But all those features everyone's been wanting for such a long time, that's what we're trying to build in here. So I want to go into real quick, one of like the most highly requested features, which was field notes. So people since day one have been asking us to draw on the drill chart. Literally in 2016, when the app came out, and we weren't even working with Pyware at this point. And my gosh, we're so happy to be working with Pyware. But they were like, hey, can we draw on the drill chart? And Josh and I were like, we really want to do that too. We honestly didn't have the time or the money to like do that. And fortunately, because of the support of the community, like we're investing more than we ever have into this. And so we have something called Field Notes now. So you might know, maybe you've looked at Field Notes. You can tap this UDB button, and this is what's going to get you like home. You can get to your notes, things like that. You can get to the drill files. These were all multiple taps in the previous version, but now there's just one tap. So you just tap that UDB button. But I can tap on Field Notes right here, and I get into this brand new UI. So first things first, I get all these layers. So when we were working on this with our team, Stuart, our director of product management, and just so you know, there are dozens of people that work on this app. They're all incredible. So it's not just Josh and I. And essentially, we're like, we have to make sure that everybody has their own layer so they can take their own notes. We also have to make sure that directors can send notes just to the staff and not to the ensemble, and then also make sure that they can send notes to the entire ensemble. So that's what these layers are right here. So you'll always see your personal layer, whether you're a director or a student, and then you'll see these shared layers. So I'm just going to tap into my personal layer just for fun right now, and you can see I get these tools, and I can draw all over the drill chart. And guess what? Because we're building on a brand new foundation, we've built this whole thing from the ground up. I mean, this thing scales so beautifully. These drawings scale with the field, and they're per page. So I can highlight, I can change tools. And you'll notice you actually have one single color here for each one of these layers. This is something we talked a lot about. Um, and the reason that we wanted to give you just one layer, one color per layer, is that way you can always color code and know what you're looking at. So in the personal layer, it's blue. And then if I go into like the all layer, it's orange. And so when I'm looking at the drill chart and I'm looking at two notes on top of each other, I can always know that my personal layer is blue and the orange layer is all. So just you can imagine being on the field at a glance. Maybe you're in the color guard section and purple is color guard. If I see a purple note, I should pay attention. If I see a note that's not purple, maybe it's not for me. So we try to build in some of those things, just from the get-go. So it's easier for everyone to kind of understand, what they're looking at. And someone on Instagram says, "Please say potato." Hey, potato.
There
Um,
you go.
yeah. So we're following the Instagram comments here. But anyway,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. So, think about some creative ways that you could use this. So, like Luke was saying, right? So maybe you've got a layer that's available just for directors and staff. So you could use that creatively for how you're maybe planning your next rehearsal. You're going through things, and this now becomes a dynamic, workbook for you, right? So you can highlight this and say, all right, hey, this has got what we've got to work on page 17. This is what we've got to work on page 19. And those notes become available just to you, and they're not available to the students. Then if there's something that's relevant, maybe there's a reshape, or maybe the path needs to change for the restage of the prop. Those are all things that can go onto the drill chart. And as you can imagine, anything that goes on the all layer, right, is available immediately to everybody on the ensemble. The first time that you do this with your students, you're going to see like how quick this is and how exciting the students become. Yeah, because all of a sudden they have this dynamic workspace that you can say, here's how I want you to think about this. Here's the dress. Here's, those kinds of things. So you'll see all of these different layers that are available to you. And what Luke has actually just pulled up are the different permissions for each layer. So you can create a layer. You can say, okay, this yellow layer, right? I want it to be available for just admin or just admin and staff, or I want this to be available for members. And then you'll see at the very bottom something that says lock layer. What that does is it locks the layer and makes it so that people can't hide it, right? So you might have a layer that you want to just be for things like, path information, or a layer for things like horn moves, right? A layer for things like choreography notes. And you want for everybody to see that at all times. But you also might have a layer that you just want to toggle on and off, at certain points. So there's opportunities for you to use this really creatively, and we're excited to see how you guys really sort of take it and run with it.
Yeah, and you could see we also have the ability to draw and add text and links. And so these are called hotspots. And so when you put a hotspot on the field, it's anchored to that drill chart and it's anchored to that layer. And you can type in a piece of text, like a note or even a link and like some video choreography or something like that. And then you just tap it and you see the note. And yes, it says potato. And you can just open and close that hotspot however you want. Now, I'm going to go back to this main drill area because, some of the questions that we've gotten is like, hey, this is like, there's a lot of buttons. It takes a while to get to some of these things. Actually, field notes is the fastest thing that you can actually get to because all you have to do is press and hold on the field and a little modal pops up. And if I want to draw, I just click draw, I choose my layer, and I'm drawing. So you can imagine like if you are on the field, let's say as a staff member, and you want to take a quick note, or hey, you're adding a horns up as a section leader, I can just press and hold on this field. Let's say I'm going to add some text on my personal layer. I'll say horns up on, let's say 4, save, and that hotspot is added right there. I can tap that and it's right there ready to go. I can always open this, I can close this. If it's really long, I can open it full screen. I can even reposition it around the screen, or I can close that down just like that. So
Can you show them some of the editing features, like, lasso, if you wanted to delete it, move,
yeah,
etc.?
yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'll go back into field notes this way and I'll go into the personal layer and then I can just select this lasso and you can see when I'm in the field notes, it grays out every other layer except the layer that I'm working on right now. So I can actually just like use this little lasso tool and it selects that drawing and then I can just delete it. And it's that simple. I can also erase it. So if I do something like this, I can take the eraser and I can just erase it just like that. I can also click clear all and I can clear just this page or all the pages, something like that.
Can you create another note and then show them about like copy paste, like duplicating the note?
Yeah, once you do that.
Yeah, cool. So what you were seeing here just a second ago, where we could choose how we want to edit these things, right? I could go in and say like, okay, I want to select this and maybe I want to duplicate that note, right? I could just take this, you'll see that I could either move it to another layer, right? So maybe you put it on the wrong layer by accident. You could say, oh, I actually want this to go onto my personal layer instead of all, right? So super quick to do that. Or I can also take this and I can then just duplicate it and you'll see I can resize it. I can move it around the screen. So this is part of like a brand new annotation suite that's in both UDB and Beam. And, again, like get crazy with it, see what kinds of things you can do, right? But again, it's all super quick. And then you can choose however you want to select those things. Whoops. However you want to select those things, and then just clear it again from that one page or from all pages.
Yeah, so there's a lot to the field notes thing, and as this is probably the number one requested feature of all time.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of time on this just like everything else, and we're excited for you all to like take it for a spin, beat it up, let us know what you think. Um,
Here's a question.
yeah.
Do students have the option to take personal notes or just staff? Yes, everybody in the ensemble, regardless of who you are, right? You can create your own personal notes on your own personal layer. You can also you can choose to view global notes, right? If they're shared, right, of course, with you, and then if that is not locked, so then that way the teacher hasn't said no, they can't hide this.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, we've said this earlier, but like the spirit of so much of what we designed was to give you more control over this. So Josh and I are marching band kids. We've taught marching band. We've been in marching band. We taught, we still write drill. Like we honestly, we do it because we love it. But even then, it, our way is not the only way. Like everyone around the world, I mean, that's one of been the greatest gifts of our life is being able to see the way everyone else does it, and we try to create tools for that. So we're trying to give you as much flexibility as possible. So up front, that's kind of like, oh yeah, there's a lot of these options. That's cool. Just pick the one that's right for you, and you can kind of ride that. And so that we're really pumped about the field notes thing. It's very cool. So back here in UDB, just want to cover just a couple of more things. Once again, when you tap that UDB button, that's where you're on that control wheel. You can go home. This is where you see your normal notes. So from the text boxes in Pyware or from the production sheet. So if you remember the old UDB, I am willing to say this out loud. It was not a beautiful experience on these notes, and we have made it a beautiful experience. If you know, you remember, they just kind of like all lined up in this gray box. So all of them come directly from Pyware. So like note one, note two, note three. If you are a drill designer and you name the production sheet in Pyware, we did not bring that over in the past. We now bring that over. So if you have brass, you have woodwinds, you have percussion, you have color guard, whatever it is, all of those names come over. Everyone still has personal notes, so you can click plus and you can type in some notes. You can type in potato for my Instagram friends over there. Or maybe notes don't matter to you, or some of them don't. You can actually hide them, or you can take them and you can reorder them however you see fit. So once again, the idea is that like we don't want to dictate exactly how you want to use the app. Like if something is impactful for you, do it. If it's not, don't do it. That kind of thing. We just wanted to make sure that everyone had that control. I think we have
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah, so somebody's asking if there's like a quick start tutorial video on that they can show their students. So we've actually got a brand new, really beautiful knowledge base. And the first link in there, it's called Admin Walkthrough. And it's about 15 minutes long, but it sort of goes through in depth all of the things that we're talking about. So I'd recommend watching that, as directors and staff. And you can also show that to the students as well. That's gonna, I think, that's 15 minutes that you would spend, learning the app otherwise, or learning how to read the field, or all of those kinds of things, or show it to the students, send it to them in advance before you get to day one. So really beautifully produced video from our team, but I would recommend checking that out.
Yeah, and also like if you want to reach out to us directly, support@joinarc.us. We do thousands of demos a year. We have an amazing team. So like if you want to do like a hands-on demo like this, reach out to us. We always say yes, always. That's actually one of the things we've invested in a lot is trying to make sure that we have people there to help, people who know the product. So certainly check out the video or reach out to us, and we do Zoom. I mean, I did a Zoom. Josh did a in-person visit yesterday. I'm going tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. To do a UDB intro. Um, we love this thing. Like we love doing this. And we have a team that feels the same way. So like hit us up, basically. Um, Cool. So showed you the notes. You can quickly switch drill files right here. And then just I want to show you a couple things in the settings. So this little gear icon gets you into the brand new settings. If you remember the old settings in UDB, there's a lot of things. It was all in one really big list. Now we've organized it. It's made to look a lot more like your phone. So you look at this and be like, oh, wow, this is new. This is different. But it's actually extremely well organized, we think, and kind of gets you gets you what you want. So um, as a director, you're going to be able to see the cast list, and this is where you're going to see, anyone that's logged in. This is a demo account. So there's Stuart, our director of product management. So he's the one person who's logged in. Inside of the drill, you actually get 4 preset metronome settings. So there's been a lot of ensembles around the world. Oh, Jeff Young, new director of growth for Ultimate Drill Book. He says he's happy to help you out. So reach out to Jeff. He'll get you set up with a demo. So that's Jeff on Facebook. But if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, Jeff at joinarc.us, and he'll help you out. But yeah, so you've got 4 different metronome presets in here. A lot of groups are using UDB to run their rehearsal now because, as a reminder, back in the drill, I can just go over to this metronome widget right here and I can turn that on. And when I click play, it's going to play the Met sound. And I can change that sound, accent, clave, whatever, jam block, do a count in. But we give you those 4 presets so you can just pop between them right there. And then you click play and you're off and running. At any one of these, like what we call quick settings, you tap that gear icon, it actually takes you right into the settings screen. So instead of like having to navigate into settings and then find the spot, you just click that gear icon and it takes you right there. This is where you set up listening zones. You want to cover listening zones real quick?
Yeah, so this is actually a feature that we rolled out last year, I think, right? Last year was our first year with
Yeah,
listening zones.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is a feature that Luke and I have been, and our whole team really have been like super passionate about, because one of the things that we've been fortunate to learn about, from being at the activity, being a part of the activity at all different levels, is understanding how the world's best groups play in time, regardless of where you are on the field. So there's a concept of listening zones, right, which we've implemented as of last year, and you'll see it here on the screen, where what that allows for you to do is pick a tempo source dot, right? So those of us who have been in marching band, we understand, like, hey, we can probably listen back to the drum line here, or we can't listen back to the drum line here, so we have to be more aware of the hands. So we have this feature called listening zones where you can choose your tempo source dot. Then you can choose the page range, right? Because you might, from the top to page 17, the tempo might be, it might belong to the snares, right? And then from page 17A to page 19, it might belong to the bass drums. So you can go through and build essentially your set list, right? Um, your entire metronome responsibility for the entire ensemble. And you'll notice that, like, as Luke is doing this, it's updating on the drill chart in real time, and you can even specify, right, the variety of tempo that's there, and you'll see how that fluctuates, right? These are all based on like true physics and the understanding of sound. So the faster the tempo, right, the smaller the field is for those who can listen back. The slower the tempo, right, the wider the field is. And the green represents, hey, you're probably pretty safe. You are safe to listen back to that tempo source dot. Yellow means, hey, you could maybe listen back, but you should be aware. And if you're outside of that listening zone, then you probably need to be on top of the hands. So we're super passionate about this feature because it's actually something that we've learned through the years that very few people understand, or not very few, fewer ensembles understand really how the most elite groups out there learn how to play in time. And so this is something that we're super excited about continuing to bring that into UDB, because once you set that once, it's now available to the students. And you probably saw it earlier when Luke was toggling through the different custom views, right? You can actually choose to have a view that doesn't show the listening zone. You can have a view that shows the listening zone. So, like we were talking about earlier, right? You can create that listening zone just in the staff group, if you will. Decide that this is how you want to learn the drill. And then from the very first rep, you can actually start engaging with the students and say, all right, raise your hand if you're listening back here. Raise your hand if you think you're on the hands. Cool. Right. That's so much more information, and that expedites so much more of the process than you would previously have access to otherwise. So listening zones has been like a massive labor of love, something we're super excited about. And the way that it's implemented in the new UDB is really powerful.
Yeah. And there's a couple other settings. We don't need to go through them all, but there's some cool preferences now. So like you can auto download drills in the background. So instead of like manually pressing download on the drill, it'll just auto download for you. You can turn that on or off. It's up to you. So that's very simple. And then, editing all your views. There's some cool editing here. I'll just jump in here for a quick second, but so you jump into editing a view and this looks very different. In the previous version, you would do all of these settings and you could not see the drill field. To me, even as one of the creators of the app, was annoying. like really annoying. So we wanted to solve that. So we can have a preview of the drill right here. And so as we're showing and hiding sections and stuff like that, you'll see the drill chart update in real time. You can even sort by performers, props, or even groups. So like if you want to hide the entire wind ensemble, or you want to hide, certain groups. So we'll talk about groups here in a second, but say you're doing a rehearsal and it's just the concert band out on the blacktop, you can hide everyone except the concert band, or maybe it's just the one ensemble. So when you in the new architecture of all the Arc apps, so if you haven't, you probably at this point you've heard the term Arc, and you're like, what is Arc? Arc, I keep hearing Arc. Arc is the brand for all of the architecture of the way that all of our apps speak to each other now. So one of the things that was kind of annoying to us in the past was like if you created a group in UDB, you'd actually have to create that group again in Beam. And then if you were needed to do it attendance, you'd have to create that group again. So we wanted to create this new kind of like umbrella architecture where you could create one group and that same group is present in every single app. And so that's what Arc is. Arc is that umbrella brand. So it's cool because when you make a tweak in one app, it reflects in all the other apps. You go in Beam and you kick someone out of the group in Beam, they're no longer on the group in UDB. Because that's the way the real world works. The real world, you don't go software by software and decide who's in. They're either in the group or they're not in the group. So that's like one of those problems that you don't often think about first, is how do you solve that? And that's where Arc come from. That's why it's powered by Arc. We are still UDB, like we still, like it's still the app and all that kind of stuff, but Arc is kind of that foundation that kind of ties it all together. And so that's what you're seeing in some of these custom views and stuff like that, is being able to hide some of those groups. So we really love this. And we're really proud of this. Like we know that it's new. We know there's like stuff to learn and all that kind of stuff, but we're really excited for what this can mean because of these widgets. You can imagine how this is going to expand out into the tablet. You can imagine all the experiences that you all have been asking for a decade now. We can now bring them here because we have space too. We can do that.
Yeah. I want to show them about
Yeah.
changing a dot for
Oh
students.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
we got some Instagram folks. We had someone ask if we can help them teleport. Not yet. We're working on the teleportation. So, anyway, yeah, Josh, go ahead.
Well,
I don't know how to respond to
yeah,
the Instagram comment.
we'll add it to the list.
Yeah,
Cool. So let's switch cameras over here. So a lot of the things that Luke has been showing you, even though it's been from like a director or a staff position, all of those controls are available for students as well. Something I do want to point out so that directors know what this looks like for students. I'm signed in as a student on this device. And oftentimes people will ask, hey, maybe I start the show as alto sax 4, and then when I get to part 2, I need to be alto sax 3 for whatever reason. So I just want to show you how that's quickly accessed. So under the UDB button, you'll see my dot, right? So again, just 2 taps, UDB, my dot, and then that's where people can change and change their performer. We still have the list of performers here, and we still have the list of dots here. Something that is also new this year, right, in the new version of the app, because performer props is such a popular feature inside of Piware, right? And sometimes performer props are used really creatively by drill writers to say, like, okay, I'm actually going to assign some students to this performer prop. So then that way they can come in and learn that dot or that props drill. So again, super easy for them to choose that new performer. Again, right? UDB logo, my dot, switch. So super, super quick.
just a couple quick questions. Yes, on Instagram, this can work for military marching band. So actually, there are several military marching bands that use this. So yes, that works. Shoot us a message. We'd be happy to help you get set up with UDB, help you get set up with Piware, all that kind of stuff. Support@joinarc.us. Got a comment from Adam. Thank you so much for the kind comment. I do want to mention something about those who are deaf or and hard of hearing, or those who need more like visual like help and assistance and stuff like that. Actually, a huge underpinning of all of our apps are accessibility. One, it's important to us, and two, it is actually required in many states to be at a certain level, and we always aim to exceed those levels. So like you can change the font size. You might look at your phone and be like, hey, the font size is like too big or too small. That's because we're taking your phone size and things like that. So just like we're trying to always be at the forefront of like accessibility standards. So if you're running into something weird where you're like, hey, this looks weird, or this is too big, or this is too small, reach out to us, because there's probably a simple solution, and it might just be a setting in your phone. Because once again, we do not want to decide what the right text size is for you. We want you to decide what the right text size is for you. So there's like a lot of technical stuff that goes into that. We don't need to get into all of that, but just want to say that accessibility is extremely important to us. We're trying to be a leader in that category. So thank you for the kind comment, Adam. And then we got a question about help in the site in Spanish. No, we don't have Spanish translated knowledge bases yet, but we will. So actually, our knowledge base is built specifically with a platform that supports the translation of all of our knowledge base articles and things like that. So that was actually one of those considerations when we were deciding this years ago. Like we were literally years ago when we were making these decisions, we said we have to make sure that it supports translation, support good search, all that kind of stuff. So you will start to see knowledge bases in other languages, Spanish. You'll start to see it in Japanese and some other supported languages as we move forward. So not yet, but it's coming. It's important to us, and we've kind of laid the foundation for that.
And it is worth knowing that we do have some materials, right, that are already crafted in Spanish. Like our entire UDB virtual curriculum, that's all available fully in Spanish. We also have Spanish speaking team members who would be able to help and help do demos and those kinds of things. So we have lots more on the horizon, but we're excited for you to reach out and see how we can help with all of that. We should probably switch into Beam.
Yeah.
I know that a couple people have asked about like
Some annotations.
well, the annotations, but also maybe we can show them the deep link or those kinds of things, and then we'll dive into showing you a little bit about Beam.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the benefits of like the whole ARC ecosystem is that we wanted to give you quick access over to other apps. And I actually just want to like talk about this for a quick second. There are some people who've asked us over the years, they're like, how come you don't make just like one mega app? Like one app where it's like it has your drill, it has all of your music, it has all of your all of your attendance, all that kind of stuff. And actually, like we started down that path like 10 years ago with UDB. And here's what we learned. Anytime that you would want to make an update to anything, say we had a little thing that we wanted to tweak in Beam, now every UDB user has to get an update. Now everybody who's using calendar and attendance has to do an update. So actually the stronger like thing to do is actually to create separate experiences that talk to each other as opposed to them all being in the exact same place. So it allows all of them to actually mature faster independently. And then when you kind of put that arc layer on top, it all works together. So back to the phone, like here in UDB, if I click this little UDB icon, I can see I can click into Beam right there, and it hot links me over to Beam. And so let's take a look at the new Beam. This is the new home screen, and you'll see it looks a lot like the UDB home screen. So if you know what UDB looks like, you know what Beam looks like. And that whole library thing, that drill library, it's actually inspired by music. We are band kids first, actually, just in case you want to prove it. This is my Arbon's book. It's sitting in my office right now. So we are band kids. I'm a euphonium player, so Josh's tuba solo brass unite. But the idea of the music library is kind of what inspired some of this. So we imagine walking into the band room and you need to get music for the wind ensemble. You open up your music library, you make some copies, you hand it out to the wind ensemble, or you just hand out the piece. And then you need to hand out the Star Spangled Banner to the next group, or whatever the case is. You go to the library and you hand it out. And then when you're done, you get all those parts back. So that's what the Beam library is built on. So I'm looking at all of the music inside of my group. So I'm in the ARC marching band right now, but if I want to like add something from the library, I can just assign an existing song, and here's all of the songs in this particular library. So anything with a check mark, that's that's already assigned to the group. If I want to add something into that group, I can click add, and it adds it into that group. And that way, like the marching band can have different music than the concert band, than the wind ensemble, than the symphonic band. But when you remove something from a group, it doesn't delete the song. It actually just removes it from the group and it puts it back into that band library. So this is actually something that's geared like IRL. It's like in real life. This is the way that this kind of works. Um, and so you can see like I could, go over and I could jump into like another group here. I have one just for staff and there's no songs here, but I can still click assign existing song and here's my entire music library right here. And I can just tap a song and click add and it goes into that group. So super simple. And I'm gonna toss it over to Josh here, but just wanted to kind of explain the music library and how it parallels real life.
Yeah, and I want to just underscore the thing that Luke did, which happened super fast. I'm not sure if you caught it, right? But we have a deep link that connects UDB and Beam, right? So again, just by tapping the UDB button, right, and then tapping Beam, you'll see that it takes you directly to wherever you were in Beam. So a lot of people are asking about like, hey, can I still sync my sheet music or can I add that to the UDB experience? Beam is really the way to do that because Beam is a full featured sheet music app that's far more robust than just the previous sheet music experience inside of UDB. So deep link back and forth between UDB and Beam is really, really powerful.
Yeah. And, we're going to get into the music here. We used to have some sheet music stuff in UDB, and we're really getting that all over into Beam because the thing in UDB was honestly, it was like a passion project for Josh and I putting the music in there. But we always realized that like the way that you interface with drill is just really different from the way that you interface with music. And so trying to bring those into the same exact space, or at least on a phone, on a tablet, that's a different story. Like hint, hint, there's some really, really cool stuff coming. But on the phone, you have such limited screen real estate. So it's better to have a great experience for music and a great experience for drill, and then make sure that they can talk to each other.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you a couple of the things that are inside of the brand new version of Beam. Again, like Luke was saying, right? You know, we want this very intentionally to look very similar from UDB to Beam to Geo, etc. So if I go into overview, I can see my different groups that are available here, right? Here's the music that's available inside of that group, and then here's my settings, right? So again, he was just showing you how to add something from the library, but now let's dive into some of the things that are actually sort of uniquely different about the new Beam interface, specifically with some of the things that you noticed from an annotation standpoint. Right, so Beam still looks beautiful, right? Still scales incredibly well, right? Regardless of screen size. Um, but you'll notice now that our annotation suite becomes available to us, and we can do things like we can choose if we want this bar to be on the top or the bottom. We can also go here, and you'll see that we have a far more robust set of annotation tools that are available to us, right? So these are all predefined for us. But maybe when we want to go through and edit that, just tap on it again, and you'll see that we have the option of increasing or decreasing the size, the opacity, the color, those kinds of things. You can duplicate that pen tool, right? If you want to maybe say, well, I like those settings. Now I just want to duplicate that in green. I want to duplicate that in yellow. So the new annotations in Beam are vastly improved, super quick. And from a synchronization standpoint, it's almost instantaneous. You don't have to save it and then wait for somebody else to tap on their screen. It shows up almost in real time. So I can go through here. I can choose to create annotations. And you might have noticed here in the top left corner, right? Just like we had in UDB where we have annotation layers, we also now have that inside Beam. Right. So huge request, huge labor of love for us to bring this to life. Right. But just like in UDB, I've got a personal layer, I've got a global layer, and then you'll see this Beam Public Library layer, which we can talk a little bit about later. Right. But maybe I want to create a layer that's maybe just for my staff, like we were talking about, right? So I can go here, staff only. And if I don't want the members to see that layer, I can just turn that off, right? If I do want the members to be able to see that layer, I can turn that back on. I also have the ability to lock that layer, which means that people can either, if it's unlocked, then they can turn it on and off at their discretion, or if I want them to never be able to turn it off. So this could be a layer of like just measure numbers. This could be a layer of solfege. This could be a layer of dynamics or whatever it might be. But
Real
again,
quick, this is not a pre-recorded video, so if you have questions, we have got a question in Instagram. This is not pre-recorded, so if you have questions, hit us up. Like there
we're,
you are,
we're right here.
literally live. So just hit us up. We'll answer them on stream.
Yeah. So I've created a layer called staff only. It's available to admin and staff. I can tap create, and you'll now see that's available here. Right. So I can toggle back and forth between those super, super easily. I could go through, you'll just like in UDB, you'll see that if I'm editing a different layer than than is displayed on the screen, then the layers that I'm not editing are grayed out. So I can still go through here, right? I can highlight this. I can undo that, which is very different than the previous version. Go through here, right? And then again, similar, right? I've got all of these same ability to highlight. I can lasso these things. I can choose, hey, I want to move this to a different layer. I put it on the staff layer, but it actually should be on the global layer or my personal layer. Super easily done, right? Again, just a single tap. I can also go here and then I can duplicate that. So now very quickly I can, create that same shaping wherever I want it. Or, when I'm done, cool, I'm done with all of those things. So super, super quick, massive upgrade from an annotation standpoint inside the Beam experience.
Yeah. And hey, Kyle has a question about, or a comment about UDB. Yeah, swipe the new UDB control wheel over. Yeah, I think that's something that we're gonna bring to it. Maybe I don't know if you were on the live stream for this, but one of the reasons that we have that control wheel is because the shape of at least of an American football field, it's basically impossible to fill up a phone perfectly. So you always end up with all this negative space. You end up with all this white space unused. And since the phone is so small, we are trying to take advantage of all of that, which is why we brought in the control wheel and the widgets and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that is something that we're like considering is allowing you to change the interface. So like definitely stay tuned on that because yeah, like even us who like designed it, like sometimes we long for that too. So just stay tuned and like would love to hear a little bit more from you about that. But just also wanted to answer the why of why we made that a little bit bigger. And it's due to the dimensions of like most marching arts performing fields. So yeah. Or yeah, in a transparent background, it's the same thing, Kyle. Like we will um probably introduce some features that allow you to change that. Maybe you're on when we talked about accessibility, but we actually have to pass certain accessibility standards. Like we literally get tested by different districts and companies, and we have to meet certain scores. And one of those scores is having contrast between a background and text. So like I'm with you too. Like I want to be more transparent sometimes, but we will literally fail those tests and then not be able to like get those apps out to you. So there are some things you don't need to know all of them, but there are many things that, over the years, like we just have to make sure that we're meeting all of these standards. We're making sure that we're meeting all the accessibility standards. So I know you're talking about UDB, but Kyle just wanted to answer you. So thanks for watching and asking in, but back to Beam.
Yeah. Cool. So again, the annotation suite, huge upgrades there. You'll notice that we've also put in a page change toggle up here, just so that way you can stay in annotation mode. So if I'm bracketing this, cool. Over here, back to this page, etc. So again, all of this is saved in real time. So there's not like what was previously required, where you would sort of tap the tool again, save it, upload it, and then other people would have to download it. So I would encourage you to get really creative with the way that you use the layers. Again, you can just tap on it, tap on the settings, and then you have access to creating all of the different layers, editing them, etc. The other thing that I'll show you here.
We got a quick question about accessing that. Yeah, and that Melissa, that's going to come with smart access. So one of the features that's coming like extremely soon. We're actually it's done. We're just doing some final testing and stuff like that. But Smart Access allows you as the director or the admin to say, I want these students to be able to edit these layers. So you'll have that control to say like, yeah, I want my section leader or this particular section leader to take notes, and it shows up on every one of their parts. So yeah, that's one of those features that's coming in what we call Smart Access, which, and there's going to be a lot more features. Like you can even have like a drill library, or sorry, a music librarian. So if you want certain students to be able to upload music, tweak the library, all that kind of stuff, you'll be able to do that in Smart Access. And we're rolling that out here soon. We're trying to be really measured with this. I mean, there's a lot of people coming on board. It's so exciting. But we also want to make sure that we're rolling this out responsibly. And yeah, there's some little bugs and there's some little things that like pop up in here there, and our team is working around the clock to fix those things. And I just wanted to share a little bit of that because, like, look, we're no strangers to bugs. Like, we live in Bugland, as we're developing. So, like, the more that you all share with us, the easier it is for us to find all of those things, because we have literally hundreds of devices, but you all who are watching this have tens of thousands of devices, like different devices, different screens. There's no way on planet Earth that we'll be able to test 10,000 device screens and all that kind of stuff. So the more that you all stay in touch with us, like the easier it is for us. And it's always a huge help. So thank you in advance.
Yeah. Cool. Keep these questions coming. Super helpful. I want to make sure that we can switch over to Geo here, and not spend too much more time on it. But you're going to start to see significant additional features that are coming to Beam. Those of you who have been using it before, right? You'll notice that live mode's not in there. That'll be here momentarily. All of the ability to still do collections and set lists, all of that is still there, and they would really encourage you to spend some time looking at the Beam Public Library, right, which is accessible on your songs list. And then Beam Public Library, you'll see tons and tons of great literature that's coming monthly for bands, choirs, orchestras, drum lines, mariachi, all of those kinds of things.
Yeah. So we're going to jump over to Geo here for a second. Valley Horns on Instagram. We will answer your question here in a few minutes. But actually, I'm going to answer it now because I think Instagram only goes for an hour. But Valley Horns, you cannot have the Met on while the MIDI is playing. I'm just going to go into the center of the screen here. That is such a difficult problem. We are trying to solve it, but basically it all depends on how the audio was synced in with the power file. It's so often tapped. And if the tap is not perfect, literally not perfect the entire way, then the MIDI could immediately get off with the Met. So there's some like really interesting technical stuff that we're trying to do to figure that out. It's just really hard. So
It's hard to do perfect. And
yes.
that's what we're really interested in doing.
Yeah, we only want to do it if that feature, if it's perfect. So it's not in yet, but we're trying to do that. We're gonna move over to Geo here, just kind of to finish things out. If you've been using UDB App Pro for last couple of years, you'll know that we've have calendar and attendance. And much like we talked about with UDB and Beam and creating great experiences for drill and then creating great experiences for music, we wanted to do the same thing for attendance. And honestly, we're so proud that attendance was in UDB, but it wasn't like super convenient for somebody in the front ensemble to download UDB just to have attendance. They didn't need drill.
Or for now, our Beam users who want to start using calendar and attendance.
Exactly. If you're in a choir, do you need drill? Maybe if you're in a show choir or something like that. But anyway, so we created a dedicated calendar and attendance app called Geo. It stands for your group event organizer. And we've built it to just be this beautiful calendar. There's all these cool custom views here. So I love this right here. I can see the full month. I can see all the days that have events. And then I'm on today and I can see exactly where we are today. And, here's an event that we created earlier. And we're looking at these event details. And once again, because this is under the ARC umbrella, because I created a group in UDB, that group is in Geo. I don't have to recreate it. If I created a subgroup in Beam, which is like section leaders or something like that, or drum captains or whatever the case is, those show up in Geo. So when I create it in one place, it shows up everywhere. But let's actually go in and let's create an event. And this works just like any calendar that you have, with some key differences. So I can just create any event. I can create the name of it. And then I choose the calendar type. So I can actually lock this to a group. So if I want, for example, only the wind ensemble to see this, I can have that happen. Or if I want it locked down to the subject, which means like everybody in the band, if I want them to see it, I can show it to everybody. So I'll just put it at the subject level. Um, and then, I can just choose, when it starts, when it ends, things like that, the repeat. And then we get into the check-in. So if I want people to check in and actually like be a part of the attendance record, I can have that checked. It's done by default. Or if you're a director and you also take attendance for your staff because you need that for like, hey, I need to know when they're here so I know when to pay them and all that kind of stuff. You can actually just click that and require staff to check in as well. And then this is where you choose the locations. So this is where you get your little bubble. And here, I'll just actually go up to little football field right here. And let's say we're doing a rehearsal right there. I can apply that to the event. But say we're actually in two locations. Maybe it's a rehearsal and some people are starting in the field and some people are somewhere else. I can click additional location and I can say, yeah, maybe maybe the other group is going over here. And now I have two locations. Heck, maybe there's three locations. Maybe we're starting in three different places. I can apply all three of those locations to the event. And that way, when students or staff or members are checking in, they have to be in one of those three bubbles for them to actually get marked present into the event. So I'll click done there. And then this is where I can choose invitees. So I can choose all of my groups right here. Like I could just choose this and everybody in that group is invited. Or I can just tap into an individual group and look at any sort of subgroups or anything like that. So, I'll just add all of those right there.
Let me add something real quick to this.
Yeah.
Because of the new architecture and sort of the ecosystem, imagine being in a music rehearsal and you say, hey, we need to have sectionals for just these people. So you create a group almost on the fly, right? And then because you've made that inside of Beam, it now shows up inside of Geo. It also shows up in UDB, right? So regardless of where you are sort of within the ecosystem, all of those things are communicating with each other. So then that way it sort of feels like everything is in sync because it really is. So think creatively about how you could use those things, whether it's inside of UDB and you say, hey, we need to have a prop rehearsal just for prop people, right? So create a group for just the prop people. And now that group shows up in Geo. Or, hey, I want to have a sectional just for low brass and you hadn't previously created a group for low brass, create a low brass group. It's now there and available for you for the full year.
Yeah, so you saw me while he was talking about that. I just created a new subgroup. I added one person into it, and now I can invite that subgroup to this event. So that a subgroup is really just like a collection of members or people inside of the group. So it could be literally the clarinet section. It could be drum majors. It could be student leaders. It could be captains, or however you look at it. And then we also allow you to make this the calendar public via a public link. So anyone in the community can read this, or you can also just make it invitees only. And so that's locked down completely to the group. And then we allow you to also create app attributes. So maybe you want to just say, hey, this is a rehearsal, or this is a performance, or maybe this fundraising. And when you add an attribute, it basically adds like a little tag to the event, and that way you can search it. So if you have a million rehearsals or things like that and you're looking for the performance, you could just search performance because the attribute is there. That's what adding an attribute is. And then you can also add an alert. So you say, hey, I want everybody in the group to be like alerted when the event starts. Please, or 5 minutes before, you can do that right here and everyone gets that notification via Geo. And then the last thing here is the custom check-in window. So the check-in window is the window in which members and staff actually are allowed to check into the app. So in this scenario, when the event starts, 30 minutes before and 5 minutes after, that's when they are going to be counted as present. And then between 5 minutes after and 20 minutes after, that's when it's tardy. And then if they check in 20 minutes after, that's when they are marked absent. But you can just tweak this. Maybe you have different rules for your ensemble, for your group. you can change that. You can create a custom thing and you can create that event right there. I didn't enter in all the information, but that's how you create an event. And then it shows up, on your calendar. And, that's what we're looking at right here. And then as people check in, down here at the bottom, you can take a look at this attendance record, and here we are. This is the full attendance record for all these events. So there's that regular rehearsal we were looking at. We can see all the people who are absent. Maybe someone forgot to check in. Maybe you need to change a record. Hey, I'm just going to tap on this. I'm going to change them to present. Boom, saved. Their attendance records updated. I can see how many people are present, tardy, absent. It's all right there. I can click export, send that to my computer, or I can even go in and if I want to just look at the attendance record of a single person, there's Jeff Young right there. I can look at all of the events and I can see whether he was present or absent. So yeah, so we have a question on Facebook about how do people check in if some members don't have phones. Um, so what I just did is actually what you would do here. So if they don't have phones and they can't check in, anyone with an admin account, or when we add the smart access in here very shortly, they can go into any one of these events and they can just tap on the member and then they can change it right there. So it's just about 2 taps to get to that if they don't have any sort of phone, and you can just change their attendance record right there. Because what we wanted to build is what we call a single source of truth, right? Every now and then in attendance, someone told you, hey, this person's going to be late, and then this person wasn't actually here, and then your section leader comes to you and they're like, well, they came late. You have to try to manage all that, and that's crazy. So if you just kind of just tap it into the app or get an admin to do it, or via smart access, maybe you get a student leader to do it, they can manage that right here if a student doesn't have a device.
Yeah, and the smart access stuff that we're talking about, again, that all integrates with the subgroups that you might create, or you might just choose one individual. I trust my drum major to also report or catalog attendance things. So we know that a lot of different groups have a lot of different methods of sort of choosing and collecting that attendance. So this is gonna be the way that you could do that very easily.
Yeah. So a lot of really beautiful views inside of Geo. If you like a week view and you want to see everything, you can do that. If you want to look at a 3-day view, you can do that. This is where in clicking filter, this is where you might see some of those attributes. So if I want to hide everything except my rehearsals, I can just literally uncheck these attributes and it'll hide all the events that aren't a rehearsal. Or I can do the same thing for my groups. If I want to look at just things for just particular groups, I can do that. I can hide it. I can close this down, and then the calendar is filtered for me. So instead of going to all these different calendars and all these different places, you can filter it all in one place. So that's a quick overview of Geo. We're trying to keep this relatively short. And yeah, and then we got a question about this. Can you sync your Geo calendar with a Google Calendar? Yeah, so you can actually, it's the other way around. So you sync your Geo calendar to that Google Calendar. And I do want to talk about this for like 30 seconds. The original way that calendar and attendance used to work is we actually used to work with a Google Calendar. And so you could just log into Google, do your calendar, and it was really difficult. It was not difficult to develop, but the thing is Google is changing their stuff all the time. And if you've ever been like working as a developer with one of these companies that are huge, like hundreds of thousands of employees and trillions of dollars of all this kind of stuff, they move like that and they don't tell developers about any of it. They just do things. And so we kept getting reports from people like, hey, my thing is broken. My thing is broken. And it turns out it was a Google issue and we couldn't do anything about it. And honestly, like we were really frustrated, and we know some of our customers were really frustrated as well. And we just had no control over that. So we actually flipped the script. We said, you're going to create your calendars in Geo because that way we can completely control that. And then you can send that out to Google. And so you can basically subscribe to that on your Google Calendar. It populates on your Google Calendar and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, we wish it worked differently. If we could just be truthful with you, we wish it would just work. We wish Google didn't do what they did, but that's the way that it works. And we just decided that we were unwilling to like have those kind of buggy experiences that we had no control over. anymore. So you can sync it into Google, into your Google Calendar, but it's not, it doesn't come from Google.
Yeah. And I think, for those of you who have used the calendar experience, I think that you understand that because it's so much more of a robust calendar that's really customized for your ensemble. That's the big difference here, right? Because Google is only going to know but so much information. In UDB or in Geo, right? Now, you might have multiple locations for this event. You're going to have groups, you're going to have subgroups, you're going to have, all of these nuances that are really specific to your ensemble experience. And so we were actually sort of handcuffed, by the limitations of what a Google Calendar could do, in addition to the thing that Luke was talking about, where, all it takes is for them to make one change and they're not really concerned about sort of the API snowball effect of all of that. So,
Yeah,
uh,
we're small compared to what, I mean, we're tiny compared to what they are. And we say this with love, but they don't care about us. Like they just do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it. And all of us developers are just left to figure it out in real time. So sometimes you're calling us and you're saying, hey, this is not working. And we're like, oh, really? And then we find out something's happened. So,
yeah.
um, yeah. We got a question on Instagram about, is there a way for a director to manually assign dot numbers to students rather than the students have to pick their own dots? No, there's not a way to manually assign students. I will say this is a feature request we get relatively frequently, and we are strongly considering putting it in. I will tell you why it's not in right now, and it's because we create the cast list, and it's based off of who is dot is selected. And what we found is when we like tested the other version, like if you were to assign dots, say Josh today is T1, and then tomorrow, hey, something needs to change, and you make him T2 in the app, you will still see him as T1 unless you go change him and go change that performer. That times 20, times 30, times 40, times different movements, all that kind of stuff. We just realized as we were testing some of that, that like if a director did not keep up with it, then it was going to be kind of a nightmare. So that's why we went for the version of just, hey, tell the student their B1 or their B2 or whatever the case is. When they select it, that cast list is auto generated for you.
And
That
all
way,
and always up to date.
and it's always up to date. Yeah, so you never have to touch it. So that's why we don't do that right now. Ed, like honestly, like shoot me an email, luke@joinarc.us. I'd like to hear like kind of your use case on that. We've heard that a couple of times, but every time we've tested it, it just turns out to be like kind of more hassle than it ends up being worth. So anyway, love the question, love the thought. Shoot me an email. Let's talk about it. And because we want it to be helpful for you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we loved spending the time with you guys tonight. And thank you so much for the questions. Um, as Luke said, we want to remain accessible. I mean, that's one of the best parts about this whole thing for us. So everybody on our team is really thrilled to talk to you guys. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, break it, we'll fix it, all of those things. Josh@joinarc.us, Luke@joinarc.us, Jeff@joinarc.us, our brand new director of growth, support@joinarc.us with any questions. We've also got an incredible support team attached to the chat on our website most hours of the day. So any questions that you have, if you're a director, right, pop in, give us a call, chat on the website. Or if you said, man, everybody in my ensemble, all of their devices are fine, but I have two kids who have an issue, send them to the chat on our website, right? We're used to dealing with and helping students navigate these things. Maybe it's something that is requiring of the parents to make a tweak on their phone, those kinds of things. So this is all very comfortable territory for us, and getting you guys up and running as quickly as possible and making sure that you have a successful season really is the most important thing to us.
Yeah, and before we leave, thank you all for the support. Thank you all for going on this journey with us. We know we're throwing a lot of new stuff out there this year, and we're doing it because like you all have asked for it for years, beat down our doors for years, and I just want to say thank you for the support that you've given us, and I want to thank our team as well. Josh and I, we're fortunate to start this 16 years ago, but My gosh, I hope you all have the opportunity to meet everyone on our team. They love the arts. They are giving their life to the arts. They are spending their nights, their weekends, their mornings. They are working so hard because they believe in what we do and they believe in the power of the arts and they believe in teachers and students and all these things. So, at the end of the day, like we're all just like we're all just humans here and we love this thing and we're just so honored to do it alongside you all and just as much as maybe me and Josh, we hope you get to know the rest of the team, people who are making this all happen. So please stay in touch, keep us in the loop, like Josh said, what you love, what you don't love, tell us what's going well, tell us not what's not going well, and like we will be the best band kids on planet Earth for you. We'll do another rep, we'll run it back, we'll reset, we'll do it again. We're here because we love this thing and we love you all, and we're just so honored to be a part of this community. So thank you for everything. We're going to do this again on Sunday. It's going to be very similar to what we did. We just want to have another time, but Sunday at 11 Central. So if you want to join in or you have other questions, we'll be live again Sunday 11 Central. So hit us up. We'll be here in the same exact spot, and excited to talk to you all again. So
Yeah, these recordings will stay up also. So if you want to use this with your students, and then last thing, if you're not a part of the UDB users group on Facebook, please join that. It's an awesome community of teachers from around the world. So oftentimes they can help answer your questions, but also we're attached to that as well. So
yeah,
thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Best of luck as band camp is starting for many of you guys soon.
good night. Thank you.